No one wants to be a shitty manager and no one wants to experience shitty management themselves. But how do we know if we're falling into some of these traps? How do we know if our management and our leadership might not be having the impact and the outcomes that we wanted to have? That's why we outline what red flags in leadership might be so that we can look out for them. And hopefully, if we notice them, we can course correct early. So in this episode, I'm going to share 3 red flags to look out for as a leader, because sometimes we might veer off track, not intentionally, but we want to know what some of these red flags might be so that we can course correct if we need to. Hey, I'm Tash, Pieterse, Certified People Leadership Coach, and I help you to become a leader that people actually want to follow. So let's dive into the episode. This is a topic that I think is really important for us to talk about. And I did a post on this a while ago, quite a while ago actually, on my Instagram, and it got a lot of feedback. It got a lot of traction. And I know that this is something that people do think about. And unfortunately, we do still see far too many red flags in leadership. We do see so much crappy leadership out there that we want to be mindful of it. We want to know what it might look like, what are some signals that it might be happening. And we also want to do our best to not fall into these traps ourselves. And look, if you've been following me for a while, I don't advocate for perfect leadership. I don't think it exists because fundamentally we're all humans, but we can do our best to minimize the chances of these red flags happening. We can minimize the chances of us behaving in a way that could be seen as crappy leadership, that could create an environment where people don't feel safe, they don't feel respected, they don't thrive, and an environment where you are not trusted as a leader. And we don't want that. We want you to create an environment where people love how you lead, they trust you and they respect you, and you feel confident as a leader. So that is why I'm doing this episode, because it's really important, and having signals to know what to look for can be super helpful as well. I'm just going to dive straight into it. I'm going to keep this one nice, short, and sweet. The first red flag is your actions don't match your values. So one thing that we really want to strive for as leaders is we want to be a values-based leader, right? We want to live in alignment with our values and we want to act in a way that matches our values. And when we aren't, this can really show up in the way that we're leading and the perception that people have of us. So if we as a leader are saying, I really value family, or I really value honesty, or I really value trust, or I really value integrity, but we are constantly working late, we're constantly asking our team to work late and miss out time for their family, we're constantly avoiding having tough conversations, we're not telling the truth, we're not being honest about what's happening, we are not following through on what we say we're going to do, we are doing what's easy instead of what's right. That is not actions that match our values. And so we need to be really careful about what we say that we value, and also just internally, what do I know that I value, and am I acting in a way that actually matches what I value? Because when people see that mismatch, they start to question everything else. They start to question whether we have their best interests in mind. They start to question whether we are going to allow them to choose what they value. It's going to create an environment where people don't believe that values are important, or an environment where values are just words, they don't mean anything. And we don't want that at all. So we want to make sure that as a leader, we are following through on what we say that we value. If we have company values, we are making sure that we are acting alongside them. If we have personal values, we are making sure that we're acting alongside them. And the values of our team, do we know what our people value? And are we creating an environment where they can follow through on their values? That is what we really want to be ensuring. We want to ensure that we're creating environments where people can be their best, where they can feel safe, where they can feel like they are understood, seen and heard and trusted and respected. And such a big part of that is making sure that your actions match your values. So I would really encourage you to think about what your values are, and every day, are you following through on them? Is the way that you're organizing your time, is the way that you're making decisions, is the way that you are approaching things, is that all in alignment with what you say that you value? If not, what is it that you need to do in order to course correct? What is it that you need to do in order to make a slight change so that you can come back into alignment with your values? That's what we really want to focus on. Red flag number 2, you're controlling, not trusting. Micromanagement is the worst. No one wants to be micromanaged and no one wants to micromanage. Unfortunately, a personal story, I recently realized that I have been micromanaging on my team, and that's been really difficult to come to terms with, considering everything that I teach and share and talk about. I found myself doing this, which sucks. But I recognized where it was coming from. There was a lot of things happening externally. There was a lot of fear. I started to manage from a place of fear of wanting to make sure things were right, wanting to make sure that costs were down, wanting to make sure that hours were managed, all of those things. And it really impacted the relationship that I had with my team member because I was over questioning, I was over handling everything, and it was just not nice. This is such a huge flag in leadership because we have a team for a reason. They are there to do their job, and they were hopefully recruited because they are great at what they do, which means that they can do their jobs. If we create the environment for them to thrive, as in we've given them the training, we've given them the support, we've set clear expectations so they know what's expected of them, that creates an environment where they can do their best work. And when we don't allow that to happen, when we don't allow that autonomy and their skills and their strengths to come through, we're creating an environment where we're telling them we don't trust them. We're telling them that we don't trust them and value their input and what they're there to bring. And that can erode any relationship dynamic that you have. And this is really damaging when you are a leader of a team. I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that VIP Leaders, my leadership development program, is currently open for enrollment. VIP Leaders is my signature program that helps you strengthen your leadership identity, build trusted influence, and level up your emotional intelligence to become a leader people actually want to follow. The next round is starting very soon in June 2025. So if you are interested in leveling up your leadership skills, giving you everything that you need to be a leader people actually want to follow, head down into the show notes and click VIP Leaders to find out more. And if you've got questions, reach out and let me know. All right, let's head back to the episode. And so how we start to shift from this is we need to look at, okay, what's driving my controlling behavior? Often it's fear of things not being done properly, things being missed, things being overlooked, things not being done the way that I would do them. Those might be some of the signs. And so what would it take for me to feel better about this? So for me, I needed to look at, was I clear in my expectations? How can I set clearer expectations? How can I restructure the work based on where things are at now to create an environment where we can both do our best work? So that is also for you to think about. Where is this coming up for you? Is it that you don't trust your team? Is it that maybe they don't actually know what they need to be doing, and that's on you? So that's what I would encourage you to do, is just to have a think about where this might be coming up for you. If you are controlling a bit more than normal, why is that? And what can you do to course correct that? And some things that can really help with this is, number one, is set really clear expectations so people know what's expected of them. They know what they need to deliver, when, and what done looks like. So when those expectations are really clear, it actually makes it really easy for people to do great work. You give feedback regularly so that things stay on track. So you don't wait for the annual performance review. You don't wait for 3 months down the track. You give feedback as and when is necessary to keep things on track and moving forward. That is so important. And the third thing here you can do is recognize wins often so that people feel motivated to continue to do great work. When we hold back praise, when we hold back really positive feedback, people struggle to receive constructive feedback. But if we can regularly recognize wins, we can show people how they're doing things, that they're doing things really well, then they're going to be set up to do really great work. So that is the second red flag. And that is what you can do to start moving into more of a trusting space with your team. They're there to do great work. And if they are not doing great work, they're not meeting expectations, they're not performing as expected, have the tough conversation. Start having performance conversations so that things can start to be rectified. Otherwise, they're just going to get worse and worse. And you controlling the situation is not going to help. And red flag number 3, you are avoiding tough conversations. This is something that I speak about on repeat because having tough conversations is the most critical part about being a great leader. Tough conversations encapsulate giving feedback, setting expectations, setting boundaries, managing performance, addressing behavior. All of these things can fall into tough conversations. And so if you are not having them, you could be creating an environment where things slide, where toxicity can be bred, and where your high performers actually start disengaging. Because if your high performing team members recognize that low performers are not getting addressed, or there's poor behavior, or expectations aren't getting clear, they're not going to want to be a part of that. They're going to want to move on. And they are the ones that you don't want to lose. And what I really want you to think about when you might be avoiding tough conversations is what impact will it have on this relationship, on this person, if I don't have this tough conversation? So if I don't address or give them this feedback or address this poor performance or address this behavior that's having an impact, if I don't do this, what impact is that going to have on the relationship? And this is about really thinking about the person, not about us. When we think about avoiding tough conversations, we're thinking about, I don't want to be mean and I don't want to look mean and I don't want them to not like me. And it's very self-focused instead of, if I think about this person and what's going to best benefit them or best benefit our relationship, would I have this conversation? And most of the time that answer is yes. And it is about caring personally about this person, caring about their growth, caring about their development, caring about their standing, and being willing to challenge them directly, being willing to say what needs to be said, even if it's uncomfortable. That's what we really want to be focusing on. So if you are avoiding tough conversations, if you're not saying what is necessary, this is a huge red flag because you are focused more on being liked rather than being respected. People trust people who are willing to say what is necessary, even if they don't want to hear it, even if they don't like it. They might not like you, but it is likely that they will respect you because you were willing to say what was necessary. And at the end of the day, your job is not to be liked by your team. Your job is to lead your team to be successful. And sometimes that is going to mean that you do things that they don't like. Sometimes that is going to mean that you're going to do things that are really tough that you don't want to do, but is necessary. And that's not about being an asshole. It's not about being horrible. It's about doing what is best for the people on your team and for the results that you need to deliver as a team. That is what is so important. So those are the 3 red flags to look for as a leader. And these are red flags that tend to come up quite early as a new manager. So if you are a relatively new manager and these things might be coming up for you, I just want you to know that it's not your fault. Don't be hard on yourself, but they can be changed. Listen back to the points that I said in this episode and work on each of these things. They can be changed and they can be made better. And VIP Leaders is currently open for enrollment. It's my signature leadership development program. You would have heard the advert in the middle of this episode. This is such an important program because it'll give you all of the foundational skills and tools and concepts to be able to do all of these things. You will learn how to properly plan so that you can be successful, how to build trusted influence, how to set a really strong leadership identity, how to give feedback, have courageous conversations, set expectations, and how to coach and manage your own emotions, how to build your own emotional intelligence, all of the most necessary fundamental skills that you need to be the best leader that you can be, whether that's at work for a team or whether that's in your life. All of these skills are so pivotal in every relationship dynamic that you have in your life. So if you want to be part of this next round of VIP Leaders, now is the time to join. The registration period is so much shorter this time. So make sure that you head down to the link in the show notes. I would absolutely love to have you there. And if you want to book a call to find out if it's the right program for you, then jump into the show notes and you can book a call directly with me. No obligation. We can just talk and see whether it's the best option for you. As always, I hope that you have taken exactly what you needed out of this episode. If there is someone that you know that can benefit from this episode, please share it with them and I'll be back in your ears again next week. Hey, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for listening to Lead With Less. It means the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review on Apple or just rate with 5 stars on Spotify. It means a lot to the growth and expansion of the podcast. And if you know any other people leaders who could do with a dose of inspiration to level up their leadership skills, then please forward on this podcast to them. I would really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any feedback or have any thoughts, please message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or email. I'd love to hear from you.